Hello and welcome back to another episode of A Brief History Of, and today we'll be looking at the Operation Cottage. Did you know that parts of North American soil had been invaded by the Japanese during World War II? Well, I didn't, until this subject was suggested to me by two channel viewers. Thanks guys. Now, Operation Cottage was an Allied attempt to retake this occupied land. The action involved an impressive force of 34,000 US and Canadian troops and around 100 warships. By the end of the two-day operation, over 300 Allied personnel lay dead or seriously wounded. Relatively low casualties, you may think, but the Japanese suffered a grand total of, well, 0. Now this might sound like a bit of a one-sided fight, and if you thought this then you were correct, as the Japanese had abandoned the island almost 3 weeks before. Operation Cottage on the 15th of August 1943 was the retaking of the island of Kiska and was the final part of the Aleutian Islands campaign. Kiska is an island in the Rat group of Aleutian Islands of Alaska, discovered by Europeans in 1741 and found itself under US control in 1867 after Alaska's purchase from the Russian Empire. By the mid-1940s, the island had a weather station with a garrison of around 10 men and sported its own harbour. On the 6th of June 1942, initially 500 but later 7,800 Japanese Marines invaded the little defended island and dug in for the long haul. The plan was orchestrated by Irisoku Yamamoto as a part of Japan trying to protect its northern flank. The nearby island of Attu was also captured at the same time. The Japanese invasion dealt a massive blow to US morale. For the next year, US air and naval forces harassed the Japanese garrison, sinking or damaging several Japanese warships sent to help defend the island. Eventually, the Allies under the command of Thomas C. Kinkaid sought to retake the islands, first during Operation Landcrab on Attu in May 1943, with a force of some 16,000 Allied soldiers. The battle to retake Attu ended up being a hard and bloody fought operation. The worst part of the operation involved the Japanese defenders undertaking a last-ditch banzai charge, causing heavy casualties to the Allies. Small pockets of Japanese defenders were said to still have been dug in as late as July. Around 3,829 casualties were inflicted on the Allied soldiers, 549 of which were killed. 2,351 Japanese soldiers lost their life defending the island, and worryingly for the Allies, only 28 surrendered. This leads us up to Operation Cottage. With a taste of Attu fresh in Kinkaid's mouth, the decision was made to allocate greater forces to Cottage. In the weeks leading up to August the 15th, 424 tons of ordnance were dropped on Kiska, whilst a force of 34,000 troops were readied for the amphibious attack. Rather bizarrely, aerial reconnaissance showed little activity with no signs of any repair work to the damage on the island. However, small amounts of anti-aircraft fire met the Allied planes. On the 25th of July, all radio communications on the island ceased. Seeing the complete destruction of the garrison on Attu, Japan secretly withdrew their forces on Kiska. When the 30th had come round, the final approval for an amphibious attack came through for Kinkaid, and D-Day was set on the 15th of August with a H hour of 6:30 AM. On the morning of the 15th, the Allied forces landed on Niska with no resistance. However, several landing ships ran aground and caused a traffic jam, leaving many ships caught up and exposed. As the beachhead slowly got taken over, a thick fog descended on the island, reducing visibility to almost zero. As the sun went down, the Allies dug in for the night whilst gunfire could be heard in the distance. Orders became almost impossible to shout out as a strong wind blew in, disorientating the Allied soldiers. During the night, rumours circulated around the troops of casualties and Japanese snipers taking pot shots at sleeping soldiers. As daylight came back on the 16th, some order returned and the Allied forces moved further inland to take the high ground. The rumours of casualties were true, as the Japanese had left booby traps behind, and as the day continued on, reports of friendly fire between US and Canadian soldiers confirmed the sources of the gunfire. On the 18th, the island was fully retaken. Unfortunately, a stray Japanese mine tragically hit USS Abner Reed, causing it to lose a large chunk of its stern. The blast killed 71 and wounded 47. The Japanese left a lot of equipment behind, as the retreat from the island was done in roughly around an hour, which is pretty impressive, being able to move several thousand soldiers without anyone knowing. Kinkaid was criticised in the media for attacking an empty island with such a large show of force, as the Battle of Attu proved that Japanese soldiers were willing to fight to the very last man. It's a shame that many Allied soldiers lost their lives or were wounded on Kiska, but it's understandable due to the deadly cocktail of poor weather conditions and a fear that made everyone trigger happy. I mean, I know I would be if I was there. Operation Cottage goes down as an important lesson in island hopping warfare, as many of the lessons learnt from the Aleutian campaign was put into use in the Pacific theatre of war. It also taught the Allies the importance of doing an amphibious attack correctly, which directly influenced the Allied invasion of France in 1944. Now, do you know of any one-sided battles? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching. Thanks guys for suggesting the subject. I found researching this really interesting. Just to let you guys know that the next few videos might be a little shorter than normal because I'm currently in the process of moving home and I won't have internet for about 3 weeks. It's pretty annoying, thanks BT. However, I still have the keys to my parents' house, so I will be uploading videos from there. And as always, thanks for watching.